Five Nights at Freddy's at this point needs no introduction. If you've been on the internet in the last 6 months, you already know what this game is. When I first heard about and seen images of Five Nights at Freddy's, I dismissed this game as just another game with a bunch of jump scares thrown together and no real thought to the game. I basically just assumed it was just a flash in the pan, mindless jump scare ridden disposable game. And then I played it, and I gotta say, I've been never as terrified playing a game in all my life. That is pretty accurate. The sheer level of tension and dread involved in a playthrough of Five Nights at Freddy's is something I have not experienced in a game since, well, maybe Silent Hill 2 really. Five Nights at Freddy's is the type of game you have to experience for yourself just to realize how scary this game is. Like I said earlier, I dismissed this game as nothing more than a bunch of jump scares, but my opinion of the game completely changed after 10 minutes of playing the game, and I realized this game has a lot more going for it than I initially gave it credit for. Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie game developed and published by Scott Cawthon in 2014. The game is a point-and-click survival horror game with time and stress management elements thrown in. If this game does anything right, it is atmosphere. This game does such a great job of creating a terrifying atmosphere that every moment you're playing the game becomes very unnerving. The story to the game is vague at best. Upon starting up the game, you are met with no story whatsoever. The only thing you know for sure is you are the new night watchman at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. Upon starting up the game, you receive a phone call from a mysterious man, now referred to as Phone Guy by fans of the game, and he explains to you how the animatronics will wander around the restaurant at night, which seems like a creepy enough premise alone. I mean, have you seen these things? I mean, look at that. But that's not your only problem. He then goes on to explain that if the animatronics do happen to see you or come across you, it will identify you as an animatronic exoskeleton without its suit on, and then will forcefully try to stuff you back inside a costume, which will inadvertently end up killing you. So yeah, it's not a walk in the park anyway. Great job, huh? Yeah. The aim of the game is to survive the night shift at Freddy's Fazbear Pizza Place, which takes place from 12 AM to 6 AM. So you have 6 hours, not real hours, they're not in-game hours, they're not real, you're not going to sit there at a computer for 6 real hours. And then you will move on to the next night. And as the name suggests, there's 5 nights. With each night successfully survived, the game increases in difficulty. So nights 1 and 2 are pretty much a tutorial, and nights 3, 4 and 5 are where the game really starts to begin. And night 5 is pretty much borderline impossible. The gameplay in Five Nights at Freddy's is very simple. You basically have a bunch of cameras to monitor the movements of the animatronics as they wander around the restaurant. There are 11 cameras in total that you must manage, with 10 of those cameras being operational. The camera for the kitchen is disabled with only the audio being available. And you basically have to keep track of each animatronic as they do wander closer towards the guard's room, and as your only line of defense against the animatronics, you can control 2 doors on your left and right, shutting out the animatronics when they get too close. This may seem like a pretty simple premise, but as I said, this game is a stress and time management game, so every single action you take does cost power, and once you run out of power, that's pretty much the end of you. You're dead and you don't even know it yet. The gameplay is however not random, as each animatronic does have their own pattern that you can learn, and learning each animatronic's pattern is essential for completing this game. Which I'm not going to give away too much here, but Bonnie and Foxy will always approach your office from the left, Chico and Freddy will always come from the right, and you may be saying to yourself, well hey look, I'll just stay in this room and I'll lock the doors if anything comes near me, I won't check those cameras. Well, that's where Foxy comes in. If you don't keep your eye on Foxy, he will leave Pirate's Cove, and he will do something that will scare the shit out of you. just look at this. Yeah, you really want to see that thing coming towards you, huh? Yeah, no, it's not good. Foxy is the only character in the game who will sprint towards the office, and if you don't lock that door in time, he'll make you shit yourself. And as if these 4 animatronics weren't hard enough to keep track of, there is also the 5th animatronic, the Golden Freddy, who is pretty much plastered all over the internet at this point, who has no real pattern and no real rules, and he can just randomly teleport into your office, and then you are pretty much dead from there on out. If there is no way of defending yourself against him, you are just gone. This game is infamous for its jump scares, and there is a reason for that, as they are some of the most terrifying jump scares you will ever come across. Well, initially. After a while you will get used to these, but there are certain images you just won't be able to unsee once you see them. Like that. Chico, oh, you are the creepiest motherfucker out there. The look of the game is very minimal. It mainly consists of static images with little bits of animation thrown in here and there, most notably in the kill screens when each animatronic gets to you. but for the most part you are cycling through static images on a screen, which sounds boring as all hell, but the level of tension this game manages to create, it is nerve-wracking, and it is a ton of fun. The design of the animatronics, Bonnie the Bunny, Chico the Chicken, Foxy the Fox and Freddy Fazbear are obviously references to the American fast food chain Chuck E. Cheese. Even the alliteration within the names is similar, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place and Chuck E. Cheese. The designs of the animatronics are ingenious, they somehow manage to be cute and endearing, and terrifying and creepy at the same time. And if you weren't afraid of anthropomorphic animatronics before, you are going to be at the end of this game, I can assure you. I wasn't too afraid of them before I started playing this game, and now I'm fucking terrified of them. On the surface, the story to Five Nights at Freddy's can come across very superficial and very non-consequential to the gameplay, as the game can be played straight through with no real thought given to the story. You can just play the game just for the jump scares, but you are doing the game a massive disservice if you play it this way. There is a darker history to Freddy Fazbear's that involves a little bit of digging to get to, but when you finally piece together this puzzle, it is one of the most creepiest stories you will come across. It's like a creepypasta, but actually, you know, scary, because most creepypastas are shit. As very little information within the game is given, and the game's creator has also left the story very ambiguous and left up to the players to discover for themselves. There is however clues to the dark backstory of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place scattered around the game in random newspaper clippings and posters that will appear at random throughout the game. And for me personally, I enjoy this type of storytelling. You are informed by fungi as the incident referred to as the Bite of 1987, which refers to one of the animatronics attacking a customer of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. And once you start stitching together these little pieces of story that are revealed every now and again, as the in-game newspapers reveal, is that there was a man hiding in a Freddy Fazbear suit who in turn lured 5 children into a back room and proceeded to murder them. And as if that story wasn't horrible enough, their bodies were never found. That customers started to complain about foul odours and blood and mucus seeping from the animatronics. With such strange occurrences happening after such an horrendous event, there's obviously a darker story being told here than we initially realise. Due to the horrible events that had taken place there, it does become very apparent that Freddy Fazbear's is obviously haunted, and the 5 animatronics may have a lot more in common with the 5 victims than initially thought. However, due to this game's massive popularity, there are a lot of crappy, stupid, fucking imitations out there that you just want to avoid. I mean, these games have seriously missed the point of what made this game great. I'm sorry, but Five Nights at Wario's, or Five Nights at Thomas the Tank Engines, or Five Nights at SpongeBob SquarePants is not scary. It's stupid. It's not funny either. If you want to play a game that's like Five Nights at Freddy's and get scared by it, play Five Nights at Freddy's. Don't play some shitty copy. I personally find these kind of crappy caching games offensive. It's the same principle of when anything good comes out, you will have every idiot out there trying to capitalize on the success of one good idea. Fuck you! There is such a sense of accomplishment and relief when you complete each night of Five Nights at Freddy's. Very few new games today can accomplish, as you know just how tough it was to survive that long, especially when the game is throwing every single thing at you and you have somehow managed to survive until 6 AM. And as frustrating and as difficult as the game does become in the later levels, the game never feels extremely cheap, as once you have learned the method and learned how to play the game, you should be able to complete it. As Five Nights at Freddy's is best experienced on your own in a dark room with headphones in late at night, there is also a lot of fun to be derived from the game by playing it in a large group of people, partaking in the game as if it was a scary movie. So basically, if you're a fan of horror games and don't have like 10 or 20 hours to sink into a game, you just want a quick little fix, Five Nights at Freddy's is the game for you. Even if you play this game for 2 hours, you get a satisfying experience out of it. The later levels of the game are extremely difficult, but there is a feeling of immense accomplishment when you do complete that final night. And if you are of a nervous disposition and don't like to be scared, and if you're not a fan of jump scares, then I would avoid this game, as that is pretty much the main mechanic of this game. This may not be the game for you. I think you might be better off playing something a little bit more less jump scary. Yeah, there's a word for you. So after all that, I give this game a score of, well, now you see I don't actually have a scoring system still, so I give this game 4 creepy staring chica heads out of 5.